So we'll see um, what is DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Okay. So anybody remember port number? DHCP port number?
67, 68.
Very good. 67, 68 port number. Okay. What is this DHCP? Here, when we have a PC, so when we have a PC or a device means maybe a printer or a mobile phone, laptop, or anything. Okay. So when you have a device like which can be able to connect it, so the devices or a PCs are like that. Okay. So for example, I'm writing as a PC only, but it is not only a PC, like your tablet or maybe mobile phone, laptop, desktop, Wi-Fi bulbs, Wi-Fi printers, right? There is a bulbs are there, Wi-Fi controlling bulbs, printers, uh, voice assistant kind of stuff also released, right? What is that? Amazon one, Google Assistant. What do I forget that one? Google Home, Google Home, Google Home Mini. They like this, like this, or you can go to Alexa, Alexa. Okay, Alexa Echo. This is a bulb, Wi-Fi bulbs. So nowadays lot of different kind of stuff is there, right? Comparison. Oh, laptop i7 10th generation is a beautiful laptop, but you have to invest this much. No, I don't want. Okay, so different type of devices, Kindle, Wi-Fi Kindles, not just a normal Kindle. So Wi-Fi Kindles. Okay, like this. Also required IP address, right? So Kindle ebooks. No, not come. Okay, Kindle stores. So it's like this one. Okay, so here it is. Any some devices or anything need a IP address, right? So PCs or devices need IP address to communicate. So we need a IP address to communicate. So how the device is getting IP address? How a device get IP address? So one is manual configuration. Another one is manual means static, manual, static, same names. Manual or a static or a automatic configuration or dynamic. So you can use manual configuration, also called as a static, a dynamic configuration, like a automatic configuration. normal PCs, people who knows, you created your own LAN network and you have a 3 4 systems, manually can configure IP address, right? So you have your own LAN communication and you can able to create a limited number of PCs, then you can use manual. Okay. And second one is, what we can say, if a server is there, you can assign manual. A specific PC device, one or two devices, so you want to manually configuration, you can able to do it. But how to configure for a bulb, or maybe how to configure for a that Kindle, how to configure IP address to different devices is difficult. Next one is, you must know IP address. You must know about IP address, right? You want to give IP address manually. Thing is, if you want to give IP address manually, okay. So want to give IP address manually. What we should understand? We should understand IP address, network, network ID, subnet mask, about subnet mask, what IP address you should use it, and how to assign IP address. Okay, so like that. Our existing network, you should remember what is the existing network. So these things you have to know it, right? So you should know what is the existing network, and how to we should plan what IP address we should use it. So this is the things we should know manually, right? But if in case, you are using a, for example, a person like a, think nowadays mobile phones are more, right? I have two mobile phones. My mother has a one phone. My father has a one phone. My nephew has my father nephew combinedly one. They are using one mobile phone. My father don't know how to put IP address. My mother don't know how to put IP address to a mobile phone, and my nephew definitely he don't know anything about IP address, right? So we can't teach how to assign IP address to a device, either it is a laptop, desktop, or anything. So they don't know what is that IP address also. Simply just configure Wi-Fi. Okay, simply go to Wi-Fi, give the username, password, connect it to the Wi-Fi. They are getting IP address. A lot of people even the I told to some people like this, no sir, IP address is already there. Why should we assign IP address? We are learning how to assign IP address manually. That's it. Server and client, we assign IP address manually. Mainly for servers, you must assign manual IP address. Means static IP address only we should assign to servers. Okay, not the dynamic IP address. For routers, internal router also by manufacturing, so they give a default IP address. Default way IP address they are giving for because home connection purpose. But if you go to real time, then for routers also we have to assign a manual IP address and other configurations also. Okay. Now, what are the faults in the manual that will be overcome with a dynamic way, automatic IP address assigning? So, what are the difficulties or problems in the manual addressing? We'll see one by one. Okay, here it is. You can say like a faults in manual or a problem with the manual and advantage of automatic. Any way you can able to tell it. So, for example, my IP address is I have to enter like this. I have to enter IP address like this. Then what I done? So, what it is blinking? Everything is good. For example, what I done? I enter like this. So, what is the problem? Instead of 192, I put a 190. What happened? Wrong IP address. We can't able to communicate, right? If you enter a wrong address, your network address is different. Definitely, you can't able to communicate. I've seen this. Some people will put like this. Some people put a 172, 168, 192 because habit and not habit combinedly they do mistake. So my IP address I have to enter like this. My network is this one, but people are entering IP address differently by typing mistake or maybe not seen properly. They are giving IP address like this. So what happened? So it is a possible that in a manually, okay, wrong IP address. Wrong, right? So yes, wrong is completely wrong. Okay, it's a possible that a wrong IP address entry, right? So manually we are entering IP address. It is possible wrong IP address or maybe there's some mistakes or we can say mistake. By mistake you enter a wrong IP address. So one is that one. Next, I have a PC 190.168.0.12, 192.168.0.13, 192.168.0.12. What happened here? I have a three PCs. Each PC has a one IP address 190.168.0.12, 0.13, 0.12 again. So what happened? This PC1 and PC3, for example, this is the PC1, okay, and this is a PC2. By mistake or without verifying properly. So what happened? Same IP address I given to PC1 and PC3. Now what happened? Conflict will occur. Now what will happen? Conflict will occur. So two or more PCs having same IP address, two or more PCs having same IP address. What happened? Conflict will occur. Conflict, because of that conflict, so these two PCs cannot communicate to anyone. They can't communicate each other also. Okay, so both the PCs cannot communicate to any other PCs. Like a PC1 cannot communicate to PC2 and PC3, and PC2 cannot communicate to PC1 and as well as PC2 also because of the conflict. Okay, so simple like in college you may have a same names, just like if you are in my state if you go to Andhra Pradesh, earlier names are like this: Srinivas, Vasu, Srinu, okay, again Srinivas, like almost all out of 40 50 members, at least 10 to 15 members having same name only in our class. So I got a one batch, it's a very big batch, almost like 50 members are there in that batch. Three people are same name: Samiksha, Samiksha. I think two Samikshas in already in Facebook. So totally three Samikshas are there in that batch, in the same batch. In a one batch, Shubham. Almost three or four Shubhams are in one. Like a Shubham Sharma, Shubham Wazir, Shubham something like that. There people are there. Okay. Saurabh, common names in a certain places. Now in Andhra Pradesh, you can see almost are same names like Sai Kiran, Sai Ram, Krishna, okay, Sai Bhagwan, okay, like this almost all are Sai. Like you can call any person as a Sai, no problem, because it's a possible like a 10 out of 6 members having a common name as a Sai. Okay, and now people are inventing new names instead of giving normal names. So it's very difficult to spell also. Earlier days normal name also they're written mistaken, but now it is they're inventing new names. That's a different one. Okay, same name may given a conflict. So to avoid the conflict, we start giving a number. Same concept of IP address, right? So to name maybe get a conflict, but numbers won't get a conflict, right? So if in case you join in a college and uh, you have a roll number, you and one of a person got a same roll number, then conflict will occur. It is happened to me only. Okay, so my roll number and other person roll number is same. Okay, if I absent, he will get absent. I get present, he will get absent. Okay, he is absent, I will get absent, like that. Right. Okay, conflict will occur. So it's a possible in you are doing manually conflict. Okay, IP conflict may occur. IP address conflict occurs. Possible IP conflict occurs. Next. Okay, you have to assign IP address to a PC. It's okay, you can assign IP address. You have to assign a IP address to 10 PCs. No problem. You can assign IP address to 10 PCs. You want to assign IP address to 20 VCs. We can assign IP addresses to 20 VCs. No problem. Then 50 VCs. Little bit. 100 VCs. Little more. Like that. If number of PCs are increasing, means number of devices increasing. Number of devices increasing. It is administrative work is also increases. Your administrator has to assign, right? So your administrator work increases. Okay? So administrative work increases. So more burden on administrator to assign and maintain and compulsory putting this in. So this is the main issues of a manual entry. Of course, there are some other issues are there, but important is possible that while you are entering IP address, you do mistake. Okay, so you do mistakes. Like already I told, right, 172.16.0.34. Okay, it can be a IP address, but actual IP address you have to enter as a 168. Instead of that one, you put a 16. It become different network, right? It become different network. Next, IP address conflict. IP address conflict is like by accidentally because of more PCs you got confused. Some two or more PCs having the same IP addresses, then conflict occurs. So those PCs cannot able to communicate. Okay. So then next is more PCs, more devices means you have to go to each and every PC and assign IP address and maintain IP addresses so that your administrative work will be increases. The burden on administrator is increases. So here those things won't occur in a DHCP. If you are using a DHCP, okay, if you are using a DHCP, so it is DHCP assigning IP address from this address pool. So DHCP have a address pool. It means IP address range. So pool or a range, address pool or a IP address range is there. Within that range only, it will try to give IP address. So individually, so it will reduce it giving IP address automatically and it in the range only. In DHCP servers list system and IP address assigned. Okay, list system name. Okay, system name or a system name or a MAC address and what IP address is assigned. It will list it. So then, wrong IP addresses, conflict and will be reduced. Conflict will be reduced because already assign IP address. It means you can't. It won't assign us that address to others. Automatically, it knows what IP address is already assigned. It means it don't use that IP address. Understand? How it is conflict reduces? I given already assigned to a system an IP address already assigned to an IP address to a system. So then it won't give that IP address to anyone. It listed. So then conflict will be reduced. Administrative work. What is administrative work? It is giving IP address automatically to client PCs directly. So then you need to go to each and every PC assign IP address, right? It automatically through network it is IP address is assigning. So that's why it is less administrative burden. Okay. So one more last time one guy is asked question important question it is I have a PCs are there. Okay. This is a DHCP server. Okay. Here I send some IP address. I'm putting a last one only 112. Okay. So DHCP server giving IP address automatically. Okay, so it is I'm giving an IP address to clients automatically, but I have one client PC but I manually configured this one, manually configured. This is the static error. Manually I given an IP address is 12. Now through DHCP, this is as per the pool, this is a 12 13 14 are given to these PCs. Anyway, everyone is in same network only. All four PCs are in a all five PCs including the DHCP server. So everybody is in a same network. So the first PC and last PC having same IP address, conflict will occur, right? So one is static IP address statically given, another one is automatically given. Now anyway, static or dynamic, whatever it is if two PCs having a same IP address, if two PCs are having a same IP address, definitely conflict will occur. And in this scenario, how it is possible? What will happen when PC got a conflict? When a PC got a conflict, it conflict will show here and as well as a here. But this conflict system don't know. But this conflict my DHCP server knows. It take this conflict understand this PC is getting a conflict means dot 12 is used in a network. Dot 12 is already using in the network, that's why we are getting a conflict. So what DHCP do, it remove the 12 from the given to anyone and it will assign 15 like this. Okay, so your DHCP can understand the conflict and to try to avoid the conflict, what it will do? It will assign different IP address instead of assigning conflict IP address. So understand. So that's why it is conflict will be reduced. Administrative work will be less. Okay, it's a wrong IP address entering is not there because of we are already planned and created a pool, so then we can able to give IP address to anyone. So this is about your DHCP. What is a DHCP? It assign IP addresses to client. Assign assign IP address to assign or assigns or provide. You can say provide also. Tell it assign IP address to client client devices. Okay, PCs devices. It will give automatically an IP address. Okay, so we need IP address to communicate and to give an IP address we can give manually and automatically. So automatically means DHCP server. Manually we may get some issues. One thing is people should know how to enter the IP address and people should know understanding of network and So IP, communication related. Okay, so and manually it is a possible that you may enter a IP address wrong way. And another one is conflict may occur because of by accidentally or enter a two IP address, two pieces having same IP addresses. And more PCs are there, administrative work also will increases. Advantages of DHCP is address pool or address ranges. It is there like from this IP to that IP only. So we can create our exclude in within the range also. It can put a thing like a mapping like it maps like a what is the system or a device or and what IP address is assigned to it. Okay, it will list it. So then it reduces the conflicts and wrong IP addresses entering also. In another place like your network having DHCP and some system with the static. From DHCP, it may possible that same IP address we can may deliver as a PC with the static. Once DHCP understand conflict, so it will to reduce the conflict, it will assign different IP address to a device or a PC with by removing that conflict. Okay, so this is it, guys. What is DHCP? If that is a question, then answer is DHCP is a dynamic host configuration protocol. It assign IP address to the client. Okay, so next advantage of DHCP using. So you can see in PPT also I will show you. Automatic IP configuration. IP addresses are supplied automatically. Correct configuration information is secure. Okay. Client configuration is update automatically. Common source of network violence are eliminated. That is the advantage of using DHCP. So next one is DHCP process. How DHCP server give IP address to the client. That process we call it as a DORA process. Discover, offer, request, acknowledgement. Okay, so I'm pausing this one, so just let's continue. Okay, so what is this DORA process? Let's see. First, I will show you PPT. It make it more easy. If you see this one, like here it is. This PC is statically configured. IP address is configured, but static IP address is configured, manually entered. And DHCP client 1, DHCP client 2 means automatic configuration. So who will get IP address? DHCP client will get IP address, but static IPs won't go with the DHCP. So this is how DHCP works. Guys, remember always, already I told, the server do nothing until unless client requests for it. Client has to request. Without a client, server is our useless. How much money you investment on a server? Without a client, there is useless. So server has to do a request to the server. Sorry, client has to do send a request to the server. Server check the request and give the service according to it. Okay. Now you can see a DHCP client, DHCP server 1 and DHCP server 2. Enter DHCP configuration of IP addresses based on broadcasting only. So when a client want an IP address, the client don't have any IP address. So it will search for a DHCP server. When you put an automatic mode, so DHCP server try to search for a DHCP client, search for a DHCP server. The first one, What it is? Client broadcast a discovery packet, DHCP Discover packet to everyone in the network, irrespective of it is a DHCP server or any other server or any client system. Irrespective of it, it will broadcast a message to everyone in the network. Now, any DHCP server receives what it will do, it will send an offer. It broadcasts DHCP offer packet. So all the network, all the devices in the network will get the message, but only who will accept? DHCP client should accept. Once DHCP client receive offer, it send a request to everyone. Yes, I need an IP address. I need that IP address request. And server send a acknowledgement. Okay, that's it. So here I'm trying to explain this way. So this is a PC and this is the PC. So the first one is a DHCP server. For example, server name is A1. Oh, sorry, D1. Okay, this is also I call it as a MAC address. DHCP. D1. So I trying to take only two PCs only. Now the client don't have any IP addresses. So then it's a source IP address is become like this. The source IP address. We don't know which one is the destination. Then destination IP address is okay. Next, in any communication, we have a two things. One is IP address, another one is MAC address. In that one, again, in that one again, source IP address, destination IP addresses, and source MAC address and destination. Just for an example, source MAC address I'm taking as a C1 and destination MAC address. What is the destination MAC address?
Server.
Yes, server's MAC address, right? Now, server's MAC address is, for example, I take as a D1 only, just for example. But in a reality, we don't know our destination MAC address. The destination MAC address must be a server's MAC address in this case, but I don't know destination MAC address. In that cases, it use a broadcast MAC address broadcast. It is like a 12 Fs are there. Maybe something is happening. This is your destination MAC address. Just for understanding only, I'm taking to FF only because we don't know what is the destination machine. Even we don't have any IP address, destination IP address also we don't know. Then how you know the MAC address? Just use the broadcast message for first time. Now what happened? The client send a packet, just like a broadcast a packet actually. So to everyone, DHCP server D1 is accept the packet because it's a DHCP server. Okay, so whenever you send, it is called a discover. A DHCP discover packet. This is called a discover. DHCP discover packet. It will send client from client. Server reach to server. Server what it will do? Really something. Okay, so when DHCP receives discovery packet, it send offer. It send a IP offer. I have this IP address. Do you want it? So it will ask for the client. Okay. Now the client PC send a request. Yes, I want that IP address. Client will tell really. It will send request. Yes, I want that IP address. It send a request that I want that IP address. And server send an acknowledgement to the client. Everything they do broadcast way, but once acknowledgement is completed, they know each other. So, okay, like this acknowledgement. So acknowledgement means complete configuration of IP address. So client don't have any IP address, so it will put their source IP as 0.0.0 and destination IP is 255.255.255.255. Something missing. Okay, like this. And client has a uh, client as a source MAC address while you're sending a packet C1 and destination MAC address as a F. Now when it is send a discovery packet, server accept the discovery packet and also it stores like this. C1's MAC address who is discovering C1's MAC address that will be known by DHCP server. Then it verify any IP address is available. It offers to the client one. So when it is offer letter came back, then we got a proper dynamic address. For example, D1. So instead of FF, now we can use D1 for a sending. So when you are sending a request, C1 is a source MAC address, D1 is a destination MAC address. It send a request to the DHCP server. Please give me that assign that IP address, and DHCP assign with the acknowledgement. So then your PCs get configured. Okay, so this is we call it as a DORA process. D means discover, offer, request, acknowledgement. This is called a DHCP process. So what is the DHCP process? Discover, offer, request, acknowledgement. Okay, here it is. That's it. So what is the DHCP? When question asked, dynamic host configuration protocol, it assigns IP address to the client and DHCP reduce administrative work. DHCP reduce administrative work, avoid the address conflicts and wrong entries. Okay, DHCP use a process to assign IP address to the client, but client has to discover the server. Server offers IP address to the client. Client requests for a IP address, then it will send an acknowledgement. In that one day, it will with least duration it is there. Okay, that's it. Least duration thing also there. We'll see that one here. Practically we do next time.